Is the Amityville Horror just a spooky story, or is it a chilling true crime case wrapped in a ghost tale? Forget the movies for a moment. Let's look at the real documents and facts behind one of America's most infamous haunted houses. It all begins not with ghosts, but with a real-life tragedy. On November 13th, 1974, a horrific event took place at 112 Ocean Avenue in Amityville, New York. In the early hours of the morning, 23-year-old Ronald DeFeo Jr. took a high-powered rifle and systematically murdered his entire family while they slept. His victims were his parents, Ronald Sr. and Louise, and his four younger siblings, Don, Allison, Mark, and John Matthew. When police arrived at the scene, they were met with a baffling and gruesome sight. All six victims were found in their beds, lying face down, with no signs of a struggle. Neighbors reported hearing no gunshots, which was strange considering the loud report of the .35 caliber Marlin rifle used. Autopsy reports, which are public record, confirmed the cause of death for each family member. The toxicology reports also showed no signs that the family had been drugged or sedated, deepening the mystery of how six people could be shot without a single one waking up or fighting back. During his initial interrogation, Ronald DeFeo Jr. changed his story multiple times. First, he claimed he was at work and discovered the bodies when he came home. He even tried to suggest a mob hitman was responsible. However, inconsistencies in his alibi quickly unraveled. Finally, he confessed. The official police report, case number 745693 from the Suffolk County Police Department, details his confession. He admitted to killing his family one by one. But his motive remained murky. His defense team later argued that he heard voices in the house telling him to do it. Let's look at the trial documents. During the 1975 trial, People of the State of New York v. Ronald J. DeFeo Jr., his lawyer, William Weber, mounted an insanity defense. He claimed DeFeo was mentally unstable, suffering from a dissociative disorder, and was influenced by these voices. The prosecution, led by Assistant District Attorney Gerard Sullivan, argued that DeFeo was a cold-blooded killer, motivated by a desire to collect on his parents' life insurance policies. The court-appointed psychiatrist, Dr. Harold Zolan, testified that while DeFeo had an antisocial personality disorder and used drugs, he was sane at the time of the murders and understood the consequences of his actions. The jury agreed. On November 21st, 1975, Ronald DeFeo Jr. was found guilty on 6 counts of second-degree murder and sentenced to 6 concurrent sentences of 25 years to life. Now, this is where the story splits. 13 months after the murders, in December 1975, the Lutz family, George, Kathy, and their 3 children moved into the house at 112 Ocean Avenue. They bought it for a bargain price of $80,000, fully aware of its dark history. They lasted only 28 days. Their claims are what fueled the legend of the Amityville haunting. George Lutz reported waking up every morning at 3:15 a.m., the estimated time of the DeFeo murders. The family described swarms of flies in the dead of winter, strange odors, cold spots, and green slime oozing from the walls. Kathy and the children claimed to see demonic figures with glowing red eyes. George allegedly saw an image of his wife transform into an old woman. One of the most famous claims was the discovery of a hidden red room in the basement, a small red-painted room that their dog refused to go near and which was not on the original blueprints of the house. To validate their experiences, the Lutz family brought in paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren. Their investigation is one of the most documented parts of the story. Lorraine Warren, a self-proclaimed clairvoyant, conducted a séance in the house. The session was famously captured on infrared film. One of the photos from that night purports to show the face of a ghostly boy peeking from a doorway. Believers claim it is the spirit of John Matthew DeFeo. Lorraine reported feeling a demonic presence and claimed the house was a gateway to hell. But let's pivot back to the documents and evidence. Skeptics have picked apart the Lutz's story for decades. For starters, let's talk about Ronald DeFeo Jr. as lawyer. William Weber. After DeFeo's conviction, Weber met with the Lutz family. Court records and later interviews reveal that Weber admitted they created this horror story over many bottles of wine. His goal? To use the supernatural claims as a basis for a new trial for his client, Ronald DeFeo Jr., arguing that demonic possession, not insanity, was the cause. The Lutzes, he claimed, were after fame and fortune. Investigative reporter Stephen Kaplan, a paranormal researcher himself, wrote a book called The Amityville Horror Conspiracy. He methodically debunked many of the Lutz's claims. For example, the swarms of flies could be explained by the house's location near the water. The physical damage claimed, like a door being ripped from its hinges, was never substantiated by later owners. Police records show no calls from the Lutz family reporting any strange occurrences during their 28-day stay. The local priest, Father Mancuso, who allegedly warned them to stay out of a particular room later, stated in a sworn affidavit that his conversations with the Lutzes were far less dramatic and primarily involved phone calls, not in-person visits where he was driven out by a demonic voice. What about the Red Room? Subsequent owners of the house have confirmed that this room was nothing more than a small closet under the stairs. And it wasn't even painted red when they moved in. The famous photo of the ghost boy? Skeptics argue it's simply Paul Bartz, a member of the Warrens' investigative team, who has a similar appearance and was present that night. The financial motive is also a significant piece of the puzzle. The Lutzes were facing financial difficulties before moving into the house. The book, The Amityville Horror, written by Jay Anson, became a massive bestseller, and the subsequent movie adaptations made millions. The Lutzes profited handsomely from their 28-day experience. This has led many to believe the entire haunting was a calculated hoax. So what are we left with? We have court transcripts, police reports, and autopsy files that confirm a very real and tragic mass murder committed by Ronald DeFeo Jr. His motive remains debated. Was it money, family abuse, or a disturbed mind? Then we have the Lutz family story, which is supported primarily by their own testimony, the Warrens' investigation, and a book that Weber himself admitted was partially fabricated. There are no official documents, no police reports, no physical evidence from the Lutz's time in the house that substantiates a haunting. Every claim has a plausible, non-supernatural explanation. The slime on the walls could have been old residue or a prank. The cold spots, common in old, poorly insulated Dutch colonial homes by the water. The demonic apparitions, those rely solely on personal testimony. Ultimately, the Amityville case presents two distinct narratives. One is a documented true crime story of a family destroyed from within. The other is a ghost story, a cultural phenomenon built on unverifiable claims that took on a life of its own. While the tale of a haunted house is captivating, the verifiable facts point to a much more human and perhaps more disturbing horror. The one that happened on November 13th, 1974, long before the ghosts were said to have arrived. The real horror of Amityville isn't in the haunting, it's in the history. If you want more real cases like this, subscribe and turn on notifications, because the next story might be even closer than you think.